underpins a world order is always the financial system. I was very privileged. My father was an advisor to Nixon when they came off the gold standard in '71, and so I was brought up with a kind of inside view of how very important the financial structure is to absolutely everything else. And what we're seeing in the world today, I think, is we are on the brink of a dramatic change where we are about to, and I'll say this boldly, we're about to abandon the traditional system of money and accounting and introduce a new one. And the new one, the new accounting, is what we call blockchain. It means digital. It means having a almost perfect record of every single transaction that happens in the economy, which will give us far greater clarity over what's going on. It also raises huge dangers in terms of the balance of power between states and citizens. In my opinion, we're going to need a digital constitution of human rights. But what I see are superpowers introducing digital currency. The Chinese were the first. The US is on the brink, I think, of moving in the same direction. The Europeans have committed to that as well. And the question is, will that new system of digital money and digital accounting accommodate the competing needs of the citizens of all these locations so that every human being has a chance to have a better life?
We're not going through the looking glass here, down the rabbit hole, or any other metaphor. We're going to a soggy field in Cumbria. This is real life, where the conspiracy theory movement, born out of COVID, has become a true community, one that is here to stay.
It's like 9/11. That was all a bit, what is it? We all know that that was an inside job.
With its own festivals, its own celebrities, where children are taught to chant its slogans.
I do not consent! No!
Schools are being given access to free teaching materials to help challenge conspiracy theories around COVID and vaccines. The work's been developed by the Stephen Hawking Foundation with the help of scientists, as well as pupils and teachers in East London.
My father used to say there is no such thing as a stupid question, and we framed the whole presentation is about asking questions.
We spent days and nights inside and found a carnival of free thinking. There are all sorts of dividing lines in British life, things we don't agree on, political, cultural, ideological. But here, perhaps, is the deepest, when one part of the population rejects the other's version of reality.
How do you convince a population to subdue them? But guess what? It was a psychological operation, a total psyop to take away your independence and freedom.
It's the first May bank holiday and I'm going camping, not necessarily for fun. We've come here to West Cumbria, just outside the Lake District actually, and we're going to the Weekend Truth Festival, WTF for short. I think most people would describe it as a conspiracy theory festival. They would say they're seeking the truth and that they're awake, but there's actually all sorts of these festivals happening all summer long. This is just the first. Other events are being held in Sussex, Hertfordshire, Glasgow, Dorset, Surrey, here again in Cumbria, and in Leicestershire. It's taken long and careful negotiation with the organisers, Nick and Kev, to allow me inside this one, and to allow us to film. As you'll see, there is hostility towards the mainstream media among the attendees here, but they finally agreed.
Basically, it's a gathering together of like-minded people who basically think alternatively to mainstream.
We talked about this, how a lot of people came to this, especially through COVID and through lockdowns and vaccines. This feels like a community that has existed beyond that, that there's something a bit more durable. Is that a fair assessment of it?
Yeah, it's a fair assessment. It is more durable. I think COVID has sort of woken people up to other things that go on, and I think naturally we've gravitated towards each other because we're all very similar.
That's the reason I've come here. To understand why a movement born in lockdown not only exists years after it lifted, but appears to be growing. It is a huge community online, with hundreds of thousands of people subscribing to the main Twitter and Telegram accounts. But the people pitching tents here have given £100 to meet their truth heroes in real life, as the festival promises, over 3 days of talks and activities. And understanding why means bedding in properly over the next few days. As the evening draws in, I make friends with our neighbours. Teresa and Andy are both from Stockport. They met and made friends through the conspiracy community. They're warm, genuinely kind, and offer me relentless cups of tea.
I'm certainly not an anti-vaxxer. I've had all my vaccinations throughout my life, my daughter and my grandchildren, but this one was different for me. I didn't think I'd be here 3 years ago in a place that I am, but this journey's been a great journey for me because I've met such wonderful people.
Teresa is a former civil servant. She was living alone during lockdown. She didn't bubble with anyone else.
It just didn't feel right to me. So then I started doing some, digging and so forth. And I think through social media, I don't know, that I met up with other people. And hence that's why I'm here today. I initially met up with all these people, or a lot of people that are here today, on Rebels on the Roundabout. We do that on a Friday night in Stockport. Oops. That's where I met Andy and these lovely people that are here this evening.
We'll need to unpick some of this. Rebels on Roundabouts is a protest group that says COVID was ruthlessly exploited by a global elite through their puppet politicians and the mainstream media, and is part of a sinister control and depopulation agenda. Specific false theories like this one already have a large natural audience. According to YouGov polling, 4% of the British population, more than 2 million people, believe it is definitely true that a single group of people secretly control events and rule the world together.
I recall during the COVID reading the book, The Great Reset.
The fourth industrial revolution will impact our lives completely. It will not only change how we communicate, how we produce, how we consume, it will change actually us, our own identity, and of course gives life to such policies and developments like smart traffic, smart government, smart cities. What we will see is that everything will be integrated into an ecosystem driven by big data and driven particularly by close cooperation also of governments with business, civil society. And this revolution will come at a breathtaking speed. It will be like a tsunami.
One for you, I strongly believe that given the technologies we are now developing within a century or two, at most our species, you, will disappear. You're going to disappear. I don't think that in the end of the 22nd century, the Earth will still be dominated by Homo sapiens. Here's why he thinks there's a big challenge with the useless class based on how he sees it. Watch this. The useless class possesses a threat to community peace primarily because they will lack both a means of income. How are you going to make money? Everything's being done better than you and AI. And a sense of purpose. If you're not making money, you're not doing a job, what is the purpose of life? Why do I exist? What can I do? All the other machines are doing a better job than me. That's kind of what he's talking about. The emergence of two distinct classes, these employed in the AI-driven roles and unemployed, the useless class, will exacerbate social inequalities and could lead to discontent and unrest. Even if governments provide financial support to the unemployed, the psychological effects of lacking purpose need considerations such as how to address their potential boredom and dissatisfaction. Harari highlights a fundamental educational challenge. The uncertainty of future job markets makes it difficult to determine what skills should be taught in schools today. It's actually a good point. What should we be teaching in schools today? While AI revolution might create new jobs, these are likely to be high-skilled positions, leaving those previously in lower-skilled jobs unable to transition easily. Drugs and computer games. You ready for this? The biggest question, what to do with all these useless people? Okay.
Now we see the creation of a new massive class of useless people.
The problem is boredom and what to do with them when they are worthless. My best guess is a combination of drugs and computer games. Really? drugs and computer games. And the whole UBI thing, remember when Andrew Yang was talking about UBI? Here's what he talks about UBI. UBI involves taxing large corporations and the wealthy to fund regular, unconditional payments to all citizens, aiming to provide a safety net for everyone. So let me tell you how I process this. I process it a couple different ways. One, I'm a man of faith. I think the future looks bright, period. I'm optimistic. I'm team human. I think you and I are wired in a way to consistently look for new solutions and way to rewire ourselves. And he's not for somebody that says, recreate yourself, my ass. That's his line. He doesn't believe you can recreate yourself if your job as a truck driver is replaced by a machine that can do your job, etc., etc.
And that scared me. You know, thought, is that the world that we're aiming for?
The Great Reset is an initiative from the World Economic Forum, or WEF, the organisation founded by Klaus Schwab, a hate figure for this crowd. It is admittedly poorly named, a grandiose, slightly sinister title that was always going to be catnip for conspiracists. And most people here believe the Great Reset is really a plan to impose a worldwide totalitarian government, and it encompasses other restrictions like ultra-low emission zones,
Yeah, the old joke used to be, what's the difference between a conspiracy theory? These people love their conspiracy theories when they finally catch up. But the old joke used to be, what's the difference between a conspiracy theory and reality? 6 months.
traffic neighbourhoods, LTNs, or the idea of 15-minute cities.
Welcome to the World Economic Forum's training video for new Ministry of Truth hires. It's all in the delivery. In this lesson, you will learn how to make horrible things sound normal. Digital IDs. Never say the words surveillance, control, or social credit systems. Instead ask, wouldn't it be nice to have the freedom to leave home without your wallet? Unpeopling. Rather than use the word depopulation or overpopulation, say freeing up traffic. Pose the question, wouldn't the earth be beautiful without all of these people in the way? Perhaps you could finally get a table at that tapas restaurant you've been wanting to try. Yum! 15-minute cities. Don't say words like segregated neighborhoods or discriminatory policing of public spaces. Instead say, creates a healthy buffer between races and classes.
I'm very curious what your opinion is on 15-minute cities. This is something that I guess it's a new idea that we're only beginning to hear about. Maybe you can actually remind us what they are. And I understand they're coming in Europe now. There's legislation pushing in that direction already.
Yes, it is. The digital green certificate, the COVID pass, that was a test balloon to get people to having to produce some kind of a QR code, just getting people used to that. Now what they're slamming us with is these 15-minute cities. Make no mistake, it's not about your convenience. It's not that they want you to be able to, have all of these places that you need to get to very close. And it's not about saving the planet either, by the way. The 15-minute cities, they will have to have those before they can lock you down. And that's what we're talking about here. So in Great Britain, some county already passed legislation. They will be able to impose a climate lockdown. That's the next step. That's what we're talking about. So in order to do that, they will have to have these 15-minute cities. The next step then, of course, will be you are only allowed to leave your immediate area for, let's say, 2 or 3 times a year. So, but there's other people that may have more money and they can actually buy your passings off of you. So guess what? The poor people will be left in these 15-minute neighborhoods, while the ones that are better off get to go wherever they want to go. So this is what we're talking about, you know.
We're developing, through technology, an ability for consumers to measure their own carbon footprint. What does that mean? That's where are they traveling? How are they traveling? What are they eating? What are they consuming on the platform? So individual carbon footprint tracker. Stay tuned. We don't have it operational yet, but this is something that we're working on.
Als we nou eens iedereen, laten we beginnen in Nederland, die uitstootrechten verdelen en dat elk huishouden of elke burger een hoeveelheid uitstootrechten krijgt, zodat we opgeteld niet meer uitstoten dan onze grens. Vervolgens kunnen we, het zit in een carbon wallet, kan je dat noemen?
Kan je het bijkopen?
Ja, en dan kan je, als ik wil vliegen, koop van iemand die niet gaat vliegen, omdat hij daar bijvoorbeeld geen geld voor heeft. Die verkoopt aan mij zijn carbon uitstootrechten en krijgt daardoor een beetje meer geld. Of diegene woont in een kleiner huurhuis en ik woon in een groot huis. Ik heb dus meer uitstootrechten nodig om mijn huis te verwarmen. En zo kunnen mensen met een smalle portemonnee ook iets verdienen aan vergroening.
There is no realistic solution to the climate transition that does not involve a globally coordinated system of carbon taxes. There's no realistic or fair solution that does not involve a globally coordinated system of carbon taxes. And Ngozi at the WTO is coordinating this with several other international organizations. It's still early days. There's a perception that it's unjust, it's unfair, it'll lead to inflation.
So, however, we still have a long way to go. And I think pricing is another big component. And one of the things that we want to talk about today is really, are we getting the price right? It's often hard to determine how to set the price on these carbon projects. It's not so simple as the cost of production. There have been a lot of pricing regimes that have been somewhat arbitrary. Instead of really looking at what does it cost to produce a unit of carbon, they've been, well, what will the market pay?
It's quite anodyne though, isn't it? It's sort of a WEF, quite sort of bureaucratic. Like when I read it, I don't...
All our politicians go there. Why is the cabinet full of people who've been through their sort of training, management systems and everything?
What we are very proud of now is that we penetrate the cabinets. That we penetrate the cabinets. That we penetrate the cabinets. What we are very proud of now is that we penetrate the cabinets. That we penetrate the cabinets. That we penetrate the cabinets. That we penetrate the cabinets.
This anger of people against globalization and against the elites. If you look what's happening in the United States, particularly, you have this anti-system movement. What we are seeing is a revolution against the system. It's dismantling the system, and we see certain elements of this now.
What we are very proud of now is that we penetrate the cabinets. That we penetrate the cabinets. That we penetrate the cabinets. That we penetrate the cabinets.
What we are very proud of now is that we penetrate the cabinets. That we penetrate the cabinets. That we penetrate the cabinets. That we penetrate the cabinets.
In a free country, human speech must needs be free, and the state must listen to the meanderings of folly and the screechings of its geese, as the brayings of its asses, as well as to the golden oracles of its wise and great men. Even the despotic old kings allowed their wise fools to say what they liked. The true alchemist will extract the lessons of wisdom from the babblings of folly. He will hear what a man has to say on any given subject, even if the speaker end only in proving himself prince of fools. Even a fool will sometimes hit the mark. There is some truth in all men who are not compelled to suppress their souls and speak other men's thoughts. The finger even of the idiot may point to the great. Who is there that has not seen these low arts and base appliances put into practice and becoming general until success cannot be surely had by any more honorable means? The result being a state ruled and ruined by ignorant and shallow mediocrity, pert self-conceit, the greenness of unripe intellect, vain of a schoolboy's smattering of knowledge. The faithless and the false in public and in political life will be faithless and false in private. The jockey in politics, like the jockey on the racecourse, is rotten from skin to core. Everywhere he will see first to his own interests, and whoso leans on him will be pierced with a broken reed. His ambition is ignoble like himself, and therefore he will seek to attain once by ignoble means, as he will seek to attain any other coveted object, land, money, or reputation. At length, office and honor are divorced. The place that the small and shallow, the knave or the trickster, is deemed competent and fit to fill, ceases to be worthy the ambition of the great and capable. Or if not, these shrink from a contest, the weapons to be used wherein are unfit for a gentleman to handle. Then the habits of unprincipled advocates in law courts are naturalized in senates, and pettifoggers wrangle there, when the fate of the nation and the lives of millions are at stake. States are even begotten by villainy and brought forth by fraud, and rascalities are justified by legislators claiming to be honorable. Then contested elections are decided by perjured votes or party considerations, and all the practices of the worst times of corruption are revived and exaggerated in republics. It is strange that reverence for truth, that manliness and genuine loyalty, and scorn of littleness and unfair advantage, and genuine faith and godliness and large-heartedness should diminish among statesmen and people as civilization advances, and freedom becomes more general, and universal suffrage implies universal worth and fitness. In the age of Elizabeth, without universal suffrage, or societies for the diffusion of useful knowledge, or popular lecturers, or Lycia, the statesman, the merchant, the burgher, the sailor, were all alike heroic, fearing God only and man not at all. Let but 100 or 2 years elapse, and in a monarchy or republic of the same race, nothing is less heroic than the merchant, the shrewd speculator, the office-seeker, fearing man only and God not at all. Reverence for greatness dies out, and is succeeded by base envy of greatness. Every man is in the way of many, either in the path to popularity or wealth. There is a general feeling of satisfaction when a great statesman is displaced, or a general who has been for his brief hour the popular idol is unfortunate and sinks from his high estate. It becomes a misfortune, if not a crime, to be above the popular level. We should naturally suppose that a nation in distress would take counsel with the wisest of its sons. But on the contrary, great men seem never so scarce as when they are most needed, and small men never so bold to insist on infesting place as when mediocrity and incapable pretense and sophomoric greenness and showy and sprightly incompetency are most dangerous. When France was in the extremity of revolutionary agony, she was governed by an assembly of provincial pettifoggers, and Robespierre, Marat, and
What we are very proud of now is that we penetrate the cabinets. That we penetrate the cabinets. That we penetrate the cabinets. What we are very proud of now is that we penetrate the cabinets. That we penetrate the cabinets. That we penetrate the cabinets. That we penetrate the cabinets.
The stars align, the numbers guide, the path unfolds like our eyes. The compass a square, a path so bright, you marked in gold, bathed in light, the sacred signs the stars reveal, the hidden wisdom, pure and real. Where 7 keys unlock the door, in 12 gates lead to something more. Ever a master's hand, a guiding flame. Though the soul ascends, it speaks my name. And in the cipher of light we sacred symbols in the skies. The stars align, the numbers guide, the path unfolds like our eyes. The compass a square, a path so bright, you marked in gold, bathed in light, the sacred signs the stars reveal, the hidden wisdom, pure and real. Where 7 keys unlock the door, in 12 gates lead to something more. Ever a master's hand, a guiding flame. Though the soul ascends, it speaks my name.
As we talk, more people join by the fire. All the while, we ourselves are filmed, and they're eager to set me straight.
But there was a lot of harm done due to the lack of debate, because a lot of medical professionals not only lost their jobs, but also lost their licence. Because there was no debate.
Because beyond the theories, whatever you think of them, there is real, deeply felt emotion here.
That's not right. That's not right.
Not least by Teresa herself. Her father had to move into a care home just weeks before lockdown.
It wasn't nice, you know, to go and visit your father and see him behind through the glass, to not be able to give him the love and care that he deserved. You just don't get over that, do you, really? You know, you come to terms with it, but it wasn't nice, and I just think it was unnecessary. And these are the harms that the COVID lockdown did.
For all the journey that she would describe herself as having been on since the death of her father, Teresa still has some limits.
Sometimes I might think something might be a little bit... I mean, even I think sometimes I'm not sure about that.
Like what sort of thing?
Well, people talk about reptilians and stuff like that, you know.
Because a lot of people laugh at me, not that I could care less, because some of the things that I say are happening are not something that most people ever come across. But we actually live in 2 worlds. And if you live in one world, you probably won't come across a lot of this. But if you live in the other, then it's commonplace. It's the way things are. Because these parallel worlds that we call human society have one in which the vast majority live and think of it as the real world. This is how things are, mate. Then there's another world which actually controls the one that people think they live in and believe is so real. And the two are not the same. And you see this other world, this controlling world, in the form of royalty, elite families, the 1%, as it's called. But that's just the surface of this other world. If you go deeper and deeper into it, it gets very bizarre indeed. And this is why we have these networks of secret societies. Yes, on the lower levels and the outer levels of them, they use secret societies for manipulating in business and a bit of that, like the Freemasons and stuff. But if you go deep into these secret societies, and particularly into the seriously elite ones, then you find that their reason for being is to manipulate the world that people believe is real from the one that's really controlling, and also to keep hidden from the real world, the one that's doing the controlling. And it's funny because, you know, when you get into this other world, that's when you hit demonic entities. That's where you meet reptilian entities and greys, as they're called in UFO research. That's where you meet these non-human expressions that are controlling the human world and manipulating the human world. And what's funny is that the real world that people think is all there is so controlled in terms of information that people mostly receive throughout their lives, through education and the media and all these other forms of information, that people become programmed like software to see reality in a certain way, and to, by reflex action, dismiss any other explanation that's outside of the mainstream, i.e. the program.
Stuff like that, you know.
That's reptilians are a bit far.
Yeah, a bit far-fetched for me, you know. But then I can't, you know, who am I to say to somebody what you're saying is utter rubbish? That's their belief.
All right, so Gillian, what are we doing?
Well, we're going to have a look at this stone circle here on the land, and we're going to restore, refresh, re-energise it.
The next morning, another festival goer leads me to a new frontier, a field behind the main site. You've got some sticks?
Yeah, these are divining rods.
Teresa may not believe in reptilians, alien lizards controlling the world as popularised by conspiracy theorist David Icke. But the freedom movement is a broad church, and it includes people like Gillian England, formerly a psychotherapist in the NHS, who takes me to see the ley lines in the morning.
From my point of view, I'm a being of consciousness from a realm beyond planet Earth, and my job is to assist the developing consciousness of humanity, believe it or not. So I believe in the higher galactics. I know for a fact I've got my star family that I connect to, but this is a fifth dimension and beyond.
Where is that?
Well, it's beyond this reality.
You might wonder what her New Age vibe has in common with anti-lockdown protests on a roundabout or the Great Reset. What ley lines have to do with ULEZ. But it's crucial.
We can see the real meaning of these ley lines and power points. They are part of a vast electromagnetic system. The whole universe is a electromagnetic system. People come to circles like this and they see stones, okay? But if they could see beyond visible light and into fourth dimensional reality, they would see lines of force, electrical lines of force coming into these places and creating a vortex as they meet. So this is why the ancients put their stone circles and standing stones upon these points, why the pyramids were placed where they are. It was to tap into and harness this electrical system of electromagnetic energy, consciousness, information. When these lines cross and create this vortex, the vortex thins out the difference between the third dimension and the fourth dimension. So at these places, it's very much thinner, and the gods can not only communicate, but often they can manifest because they're much closer to this reality when the vortexes are thrown up. The astral realm is interfering interacting with this world. We're now closing in on why Albion, heart of the world, is so important and why the nature of the energy passing through the grid is crucial to what happens here in what we call everyday life. The grid is a fourth dimensional field which we can't see, but we can feel. London has a long and extraordinary history and has attracted secret groups and societies for thousands of years to its energy grid in the heart of the world, including the Knights Templar, the inner core of the Freemasons, and the Druids, the priestly class of the Celts, who have all known how to tap and harness that power for their own ends.
Ley lines, lifelines, coded stream. COVID prompted people to do their own research. As they say, they found a world ready and waiting to welcome them and draw them further in.
I've been awake all my life to this, but as you say, the COVID era has really woken people up. So, you know, they were stuck at home, got off the rat race for a little while and started questioning.
Down at the festival, Gillian and others gather the children.
I do not consent! Roar! Well done, so now you know how to stand in your magical power.
I do not consent was a rallying cry for anti-vaxxers during lockdown. It's now a slogan for the freedom movement, and they're taught it young. This is probably the most troubling part of the festival, the part where legitimate free speech perhaps crosses into something darker. Speaking to people, it's clear the pandemic was such a big initiator, and all of us were anxious, all of us were worried. Then you had people like Teresa going through huge personal trauma. On top of that, lockdowns adding to a sense of powerless. So I suppose it's no surprise that people wanted to find some meaning, and some people found that meaning in this worldview, in this community here, in articles online. And the question is, what happens after that? Because there is violent rhetoric here, and primary school-aged children have a front row seat. I listen in on several talks and hear that COVID was an attempted genocide, that the military is secretly running the country, that there is a Satanist cult planning something very nefarious, and that I, as an employee of the mainstream media, are part of it.
So they're gaslighting you, that's fraud.
And just as quickly, though, it is all bon on me. Legendary Southampton footballer Matt Le Tissier receives a hero's applause for the anti-vaccination stance that led to his cancellation.
Can you hear us back there?
Then there's drinks and dancing in the tent. Welcome to the real counterculture. Teresa gives us a wave. Day 3. Andy is forced to cook inside his van. The weather has turned. I want to catch up with him and Teresa. This is our third morning as neighbours, I think.
Yes.
Yeah.
It is.
How's the festival been for you guys? Have you enjoyed it?
Enjoyed it, despite the weather.
Especially ahead of the day's headliner speaker, Katie Hopkins, the former Apprentice contestant who's been accused of being a far-right commentator.
But now you know, now Mark Stein's blown the doors off, it is controlled. It's controlled by the big funders, it's controlled by Ofcom and people who can make Ofcom complaints, and increasingly it's going to be controlled by wanting to please advertisers in order to achieve additional revenue, and it's controlled by the boys who have positions there who are willing to keep taking it up the arse, quite frankly, in order to keep their positions through vanity, through wanting the clicks, through wanting their pay packet, through having a lack of other alternatives because they're not willing to come out here and do what we do on YouTube and wherever else. And I think, importantly, from an Ofcom perspective, Ofcom is a real pain in the arse. So all of the times I've been reported to Ofcom, say at LBC, you get hauled in front of your boss, you have to have a serious meeting with somebody else from HR present, you get given a bollocking for doing whatever Ofcom says you've done wrong, and you have to give your side of the story. And to end on a lighter anecdote, because always I'm about lifting up our side, and I don't think criticism is helpful. But I will just say, and I freely criticise everybody who's still on GB News who hasn't had the spine or the moral courage to walk out and back Mark Stein, join him, go and join wherever he's going and leave GB News. If you can't do that, you're a spineless little lizard and a bottom dweller. GB News know I am uncontrollable, which means that the people who are on GB News, and I've known this for as long as it's been around, are completely controllable. So Wotton, Farage, Fox, all the rest, completely controllable. They have a briefing from compliance, the compliance biatch that Mark Stein speaks of. They agree to keep their comments within certain parameters. It's almost like if you imagine a tennis court or a football pitch. They're given the boundaries of what they're allowed to talk about. And then their job, actually, Farage, Wotton, Fox, all the boys that are given slots, is that their job is to make you believe, to convince you that they're the bastions of free speech. And it's a kind of performative art, right? It's, here's the small number of things I can actually say. Now I have to make you look and feel as if I'm on the edge of this and I'm bringing you the only free speech there is. Whereas in fact, each one of them knows they have to stick with the parameters, otherwise they lose their position.
The former apprentice contestant has been accused of being a far-right commentator. You know, she said that she hates Islam, she said that gypsies are feral humans, that's a direct quote. Like,
It's 3 million of us. 3 million. Is there any part of you as a mother of two daughters and a son? I'm kind of thinking just for a moment about this, that this is the man who talked about grabbing women by the pussy. Is there any part of you that feels this is not my guy? I don't want this guy to be talking like this about any woman at all. Do you not despair for the future in any ways?
Sweetie, I would rather be grabbed by the pussy than have a pussy for president. Woo!
And
go you, go you, go you.
And you're happy with that language?
I'm very happy with that language. Look, none of us are that polite behind closed doors. My girlfriends have ruder language. Real men have ruder language. The gentleman clapping is a real man, obviously. He would have ruder language than pussy. I'm not offended by the expression.
He's no longer in the locker room. He's in the Oval Office.
Sure, and that was a private conversation 8 years ago before he was running. Whilst Clinton was in the Oval Office, of course, Monica Lewinsky was on her knees with Hillary stood right by her. So I don't know if you're going to say that's any better, sweetie, because I don't think it is.
She's not president. I'm talking about the current president-elect.
Yes, but when Bill Clinton was president...
I'm not talking about the past, I'm talking about the future.
And 8 years ago, before Donald Trump even ran, he used the word pussy. I'm not offended. You are. You deal with your issues.
Are any of you have no issues? I'm just curious, is there any part of you remotely concerned about the nature of...
No, you know, what we needed in America was someone that was going to have a strong lead, who was going to stand up for white people as well as black people in America, who was going to stand up for bringing jobs back, for allowing Americans to have their weapons, and for allowing the Supreme Court to be a conservative Supreme Court. No one here can really understand that, which is why the pollsters were wrong, why you guys were wrong, why state broadcasters were wrong, and every other commentator and every other pundit was wrong.
Last question
because you didn't get it right.
I think it's important to say, though, first, that real men don't sexually assault women, real men don't grab women, and real men don't behave like that.
The manifesto is a stunning thing to read, Mr. President. He appears to reference a motive in it. He writes this, quote, administration officials, they are targets. And he also wrote this, I am no longer willing to permit a pedophile, rapist, and traitor to coat my hands with his crimes. What's your reaction to that?
Well, I was waiting for you to read that because I knew you would, because you're horrible people, horrible people. Yeah, he did write that. I'm not a rapist. I didn't rape anybody.
Do you think he was referring to you?
Excuse me. I'm not a pedophile. You read that crap from some sick person. I got associated with all stuff that has nothing to do with me. I was totally exonerated. Your friends on the other side of the plate are the ones that were involved with, let's say, Epstein or other things. But I said to myself, you know, I'll do this interview and they'll probably, I read the manifesto, you know, he's a sick person, but you should be ashamed of yourself reading that because I'm not any of those things.
Mr. President,
and I
these
was
are
never,
the gunman's words.
Excuse me. You shouldn't be reading that on 60 Minutes. You're a disgrace. But go ahead, let's finish the interview.
Donald Trump is the Wizard of Oz. He is the guy. He plays Monopoly with real fucking buildings. This is a scary man. And he owns all these beauty pageants, Miss America, Miss Universe. Isn't that a bit like Michael Vick owning a series of pet stores? It's a fucking catch and release program for him. This is a man who said, my daughter is hot. Even people in Arkansas went, that's fucking wrong. That's just way out of place. And that fucking hair, my God. I believe the hair is the Donald. I believe that's it. I believe the body is a maintenance system for the hair. He goes home at night going, we're home. Hey, fuck it, let's get out of here now. I'll fuck her, let's do this.
I was 14 years old. I was 16 years old. I was 16. 17. 14 years old.
It's people have free speech, but something's surely beyond the pale.
Well, I mean, I think I said to you earlier, it's not somebody that I warm to, and, her way of presenting things, it's not the way that I would do it, and I'm not always comfortable what she says, but going back to the free speech, but then sometimes some of it would appear to be offensive, and sometimes even I go, ouch, I'm not sure about that.
Down at the main site, this was an overt call for political action. A party that seeks to replace career politicians starting in Edinburgh. Others have launched an initiative to stand candidates as independents in this general election, saying they are in a war to halt the influence of globalists. But probably the largest challenge to mainstream politics is the crossover between many of the positions here with those at the far right.
So why would they want to take away your independence and freedom? They're planning something very, very nefarious.
Another speaker who says ULEZ traffic control cameras are bioweapons that will turn us into literal zombies asked us to interview him. Mark Steele served time in prison back in the 1990s for shooting a teenage girl in the head.
So what does Rishi Sunak do? He's injecting with a biochemical weapon. Everybody's getting sick, and he's saying you're not going to get sick anymore. So there's going to be no sickness benefits. They've put me back to a third world country, right? It's where he comes from. These third world countries, right, where there's...
Rishi Sunak doesn't come from a third world country. He's from Southampton, or Winchester.
Oh, I thought he was an Indian.
No, he's British. He's born...
Oh, he's British. Oh, well, what defines you as British?
Well, he was born in the UK to British, to British...
Well, to be fair, right, I mean, I don't know where he's from, right, but his background, they don't mind having people starving in the street.
He applies a magnet to try and prove that my arm contains an antenna from my COVID vaccinations. If a ULEZ camera activates it, he explains, I could explode. This is the most extreme end. And even with the most open of minds, it is honestly exasperating. I've now got antenna in.
You've got an antenna in.
So the ULEZ camera could be used to...
kill you.
Okay.
Yeah.
With the pulse.
Yeah.
For others, though, it's illuminating. And it explains how festivals like these push people like Jenny, a former schoolteacher, further up the conspiracy ladder. What's been the most interesting bit you've heard?
I enjoyed that, but it puts your blood pressure up a bit, doesn't it? I mean, I already knew some of it, but it fills in the gaps. And I think everybody here is making connections, like, based on their own experience.
So, like, before that talk, you didn't know about cameras being fusion weapons, and that was...
I didn't know that, no. And there's a lot of helpful advice.
It's time to go. I haven't heard anything that sort of qualifies as hate speech. Some of the talks have been pretty harmless, some have been interesting. Some have had a very aggressive, almost violent tone. They accuse their opponents of raping and torturing children, of committing genocide, that politicians have been committing murder, that there's a plan to replace the native white-born population of the UK. And that's the sort of talk that could have real-world consequences, that could perhaps lead to direct action. Those are some of the lines that have got the biggest cheers. Before I leave, I speak to Nick and Kev, who are delighted with how the festival has gone. Some of it was really aggressive. I was surprised by that.
Well, yeah, I mean, I think we can't concentrate on that, though, can we? Because, I mean, there has to be a bit of edginess in it, because we're in some difficult conversation and difficult times. I mean, when you approached us about actually coming to speak to us, you did say that you want to test the political climate and how people are feeling about things.
The only thing left to do is watch Katie Hopkins, who doesn't let us film inside the tent. She gets a rock star reception, though, and promptly singles me out in front of the crowd.
Would we have any lefty press here, would you say? Not you, behind you in the corner. I smell a virgin.
Her show is undoubtedly a hit with the audience.
I smell lefty pressy scum.
Teresa did say that she felt sorry for me when Katie Hopkins called me a virgin. But she and Andy enjoyed it otherwise. They head back up to their campsite. They have lives and families outside here. But these are really their people, and this is really their place, as it is for so many. Tom Cheshire, Sky News, West Cumbria.
ID, which has been a big problem to us for a very long time, is now on a testing mode for the next 2 months. I have been assured by all the stakeholders, led by the ministries concerned, that by December we will be able to launch digital ID, where every Kenyan don't have to carry any paper, plastic or otherwise, as an ID, that they should be able to be identified digitally using their iris or their fingerprints, and we can transact without the necessity of people struggling to identify who they are. It shall no longer be necessary for any person from any corner of the globe to carry the burden of applying for a visa to come to Kenya. To echo the call of the Turkana people to the world, Tobongu Lore, a simple message to humanity: welcome home. This is why the government of Kenya has abolished the requirement of visas for all visitors.
Your flight is scheduled to depart in 3 hours. It is currently scattered clouds and 27 degrees in Bahrain. If your details are correct, shall I proceed with check-in?
Yes, please.
Lovely. Check-in is completed successfully. If you have any baggage, please visit the nearest counter or self-service bag drop to drop your baggage. Have a great flight.
While the emergency phase of the COVID-19 pandemic is now over, investments in digital infrastructure remain an important resource for health systems and for economies and societies at large. Like many countries, the European Union made significant investments in COVID-19 certificates to help people move around as safely as possible during the pandemic. The European Union's certification system was used by all 27 EU member states and more than 50 other countries. Building on the success of the EU system, WHO is proud today to launch the Global Digital Health Certification Network. So thank you so much to European Union for the excellent certification system that you have transferred to us, and we have the chance to build on it. WHO will begin operations of the network today with the existing COVID-19 certificate as a global public good. Soon after, we will expand this infrastructure by incorporating other use, such as a digitized international certificate of vaccination, routine immunization cards, and international patient summaries.
A digital ID system could be operating between governments and the private sector as soon as next year. The aim is to reduce the need for us all to share vast amounts of personal data with multiple organisations.
We've all seen what happens when companies that hold our personal information get hacked, and it's not just customers who worry.
Small businesses have a high concern about cyber risks. They don't want to hold more personal information than they need to.
Some organisations are doing away with this method and going digital. 10.5 million Australians are using MyGov ID for some government services, and there are private systems too, like Connect ID, but they don't work together. Now the government is consulting with business to bring digital IDs into the mainstream.
Making it easier, essentially, to live your life online, but with the minimum amount of sharing of documents.
Right now, you could be handing over lots of personal data anytime you say sign up to a new phone plan, apply for a rental property or a new home loan. Things like your passport, driver's licence, Medicare details, your birth certificate. all then stored by multiple companies. If you choose to use a digital ID, though, that information will be verified once, but not stored. And it's all you'll need to prove who you are.
You don't need to have my passport be sent to a rental estate agency, or you don't need to have my full driving licence sent. You just need to know that I am Andrew and I'm over 18, for example.
It's also not a revival of the controversial Australia card proposal from the 1980s. Is this like that?
No, it's absolutely not like that. So it's not a new number or a new card or anything like that.
Still, some people will be wary, so the system won't be mandatory. But that brings other concerns.
I'm genuinely worried that the Australian population, from an ageing population perspective, is going to be left behind.
Identity online. The need to track passwords, fill out numerous digital forms and repeat the same verification processes can make life online a slog. Meanwhile, online stores, businesses, government and banks need to manage their risk by verifying their customers' identities, requesting data from an ever-increasing number of online identity providers, many of which can only provide very low levels of proof. Globally, the implementation of data security and information privacy solutions has led to increased friction and complexity that has detracted from the customer experience. And with more and more identity frameworks being introduced, this confusion will only multiply. Enter Connect ID, powered by FPOS, the identity hub for the entire Australian digital ecosystem. FPOS is doing what it has done best for the past 30 years, collaboratively providing Australian businesses with a trusted, reliable and cost-effective infrastructure. This ensures all identity transactions flow quickly and easily through our Australian-based identity hub. FPOS acts as the broker or middleman, connecting all identity requesters, like financial services, online stores and government departments, with every digital identity issuer in Australia, enabling them to streamline their customer experience for all Australian consumers in the process. Consumers and digital merchants get secure, private, easy and trusted access to any identity provider in Australia. Identity providers are able to offer an additional trust-based business service to their customers, and Connect ID enables each of them to talk to the others seamlessly. In short, with Connect ID, everybody wins. Connect ID, Australia's trusted identity network, powered by FPOS.
We've got a great opportunity, and I really want to see this actually happen before I retire, is to develop the interoperable vaccine registry, where people can have their own information in their own hands, and their healthcare providers will have the same. And for vaccine program planners and implementers, that's really important.
What's up, everyone? Thought I'd just do a little update, let's see how far we go in and move in with this digital ID in the UK, because a lot of us feel like it's not happening, everybody says it's not happening. As you can see, this is the story so far, okay, and I've got this off the government digital ID website. I'll show you in a minute. Right, story so far. In September 2020, okay, they published their response to call for evidence. Now, it's evidence to be online, okay, gathering views on how the government can support the development of a secure digital identities within the UK. Right, then we move forward to February 2021, okay. The government published their first two versions of the UK Digital ID Attribution Trust Framework, okay, which has been in development since. Now, it was in development before they announced it in 2020, which was the first point. Okay, now we go down to number 3. Okay, in March 2020, the government published a response to a public consultation on our proposed approach to enabling secure digital identities within the UK economy. Okay, right, now that's going to tie in with your digital ID and your central bank digital currency, okay? This is why they need it. Then we move down. We have April 2020. Employers and landlords became able to use providers with certified services for pre-employment, rental eligibility, and criminal records. Now, this was the post that we posted that said that in April, which is what they're showing you now, that the UK was going to go into the digital ID framework, which meant that it was you had the right to buy, right to rent, which meant that the housing associations or your employer could basically do a digital ID check upon you. And then, you know, at a later date, if you haven't got the digital ID, then you wouldn't be eligible for rent. Now, I'm going to leave that video with this, right? Because that video go into it. So for those that didn't see it, you'll be able to see it. But let's keep going. Okay, right. June 2022, the government published the current beta version of the trust framework and started our beta testing program. Now, this is where they've been doing trials within the UK based on this digital ID. Okay, they have been doing trials. And then we go down, we have March 2023. You know, that's where we are right now. It's the 30th of March today. Okay, and it says the Data Protection Digital Information Number 2 bill has its first reading in Parliament. It says the bill will underpin the trust framework and its governance and allow identity and eligibility checks to be made against trusted government-held data. Right. So as you can see, they're moving towards this digital, okay? But I
think this issue to do with the technology and the digital infrastructure, I just want to emphasize how important I think that is. Because in the end, you need the data. You need to know who's been vaccinated and who hasn't been. Some of the vaccines that will come on down the line will be multiple. There'll be multiple shots. So you've got to have, for reasons to do with the healthcare more generally, but certainly for a pandemic or for vaccines, you've got to have a proper digital infrastructure. And many countries don't have that. In fact, most countries don't have that. So again, you've got to say, okay, who are the people that can make this happen? How do you get the right partnerships in place? So my view is, this is what I'm arguing with that should happen in the G20 particularly, I think, which is, I mean, G7 is an important forum, but the G20 is the broader forum, is you've got to work out what is it that you want to achieve in order to make sure that any future pandemic is properly handled, and what are the partnerships that you're going to create in order to ensure that the answers you get are the right answers. And then you're going to have the mechanisms of implementation. And those mechanisms will be partly through the formal institutions that you have, like the WTO, but they'll also be through organizations like yours, which I think, you know, have many advantages because they don't get landed with the same bureaucracy and, frankly, small p politics around them. So I think, you know, that's what we need to do. But if you want the politicians to focus on a plan, I promise you, it's got to be because they think in the next few years, not in the broad future, it's going to matter to them to have that plan. I think there's a huge impetus now for a national digital infrastructure. Digitization in healthcare is, I think, one of the great game changers. You know, we should be helping countries to develop a national digital infrastructure, which they will need with these new vaccines. And then, you know, finally, it's also about showing people and showing the political leadership that you can make a positive difference to your healthcare system by adopting these measures, because they've got an impact beyond any particular disease or pandemic. So I think if you want to keep the political focus, and I agree it's vital that you do, you've got to show people that this is a continuing issue, right? It's not a future issue, it's here and now. It's got a broad set of implications, and there are a set of solutions that COVID has taught us arising out of the challenges of COVID, to which, if we apply the right political will, we can make our healthcare systems better, not just for pandemic and disease, but more generally for the health of the population. If you do that, they'll think there are votes in it, and, you know, if there are votes in it, they'll focus.
Tobacco use among teens continues to rise in Nevada in spite of laws prohibiting sales to minors. A new state law was written to address the problem, and Ed Pierce has more.
The public health impacts have long been clear. That most adult smokers began before the age of 18. Sales of tobacco products to minors is illegal. Yet more than 17% of Nevada high school students admit to being smokers.
And then we're also seeing that kids are starting even at the age of 13.
In fact, more than 38% say it would be fairly easy to very easy to get cigarettes if they wanted some. And the number gets even worse when it comes to electronic vaping products. Almost half of Nevada high school students are confident they could get their hands on them. Clearly, current laws, compliance checks, and educational efforts aren't enough. So the last legislature made things a little tougher for youthful buyers and negligent retailers. It now requires stores to use electronic scanners and software to verify the age and ID of buyers appearing to be younger than 40.
So this is just an extra measure to ensure that we are reducing that access for youth and young adults.
Most stores that sell cigarettes already have the scanning gear.
The youth or young adult who is going to purchase that, they should know that they're going to be asked for their ID and that their ID is going to be scanned.
The new law adds an extra $100 fine for the first-time offense of failing to use the electronic verification of age and ID. And the compliance checks, essentially sting operations, will continue. There is, we should note, incentive for making all of this work. Federal grants for drug rehab and education are tied to compliance goals, and the state is in danger of falling short of those goals.
Today, 1.3 billion Indians have this digital ID. It provides, It provides for online authentication of identity using your fingerprint, iris, OTP, face, whatever, and that system does 80 million transactions a day, which means 80 million times some Indian is using his Aadhaar to do an online verification. Now this online verification, the second thing built on this was what's called as KYC, or Know Your Customer. And KYC was then made a requirement. Aadhaar KYC was sufficient to open a bank account or to get a mobile connection. Now it began with the ID system called Aadhaar, which I was in charge of for 5 years. And the idea was to give a digital ID to every Indian. And today, 1.3 billion Indians have this digital ID. It provides, It provides for online authentication of identity using your fingerprint, iris, OTP, face, whatever. And
Jamaica needs to prepare itself for this dispensation of the fourth industrial revolution.
This is a wallet, and this is Google Wallet. They both keep hold of your credit cards. Loyalty cards, gift cards, boarding passes, transit passes, vaccine cards, concert tickets, ID cards. Car keys? Well, yeah, I guess you could put those in a regular wallet. Might hurt to sit down, but... Oh, look at that. Google Wallet lets you virtually access your car keys. Is a regular wallet secure? Kinda. Not really. Maybe a chain wallet? Google Wallet, though, super secure. It gives you all the security features of your Android phone. Plus, it lets you control your data and encrypts all your purchases. Speaking of purchases, once you add your card, you can tap to pay everywhere Google Pay is accepted. You can also choose to connect Google Wallet to other Google apps, making them even more helpful. So it'll know when to send you event notifications, flight updates, and let you see your transit card balances. Okay, so maybe Google Wallet is different. In a good way. In many good ways.
Which is going to be meeting with the top leaders of the world by pioneering an AI verification system that everyone can trust. Hopefully the UN can play a constructive role, and it will also be one of the early projects under AI. Let's see how good it is, because a lot of people are saying it could be one of the great things ever, but it also can be dangerous, but it could be put to tremendous use and tremendous good, and this would be an example of that.
Central bank digital currency would be a new, trustworthy and accessible way to pay. But a possible digital pound is not possible before 2025. As Hunt says, the UK government is looking at every way possible where they can protect financial stability. Well, the cryptocurrencies are not backed by a central bank, and hence the value can go up and down rapidly. However, UK Treasury says it may use similar technologies like Bitcoin and Ethereum. And the digital pound issued by the Bank of England will be less volatile. Well, earlier, UK Prime Minister Rishi Sunak, when he was Chancellor, urged the Bank of England to look into the banking digital currency.
The book, The Fourth Industrial Revolution. And I mentioned 23 or 24 technologies which will change the world, like crypto and so on and so on. The book was considered science fiction. All those technologies have become reality, and there are new technologies. And I would say,
you know, if that happens, it'd be a real blast to see where he goes, because it's not only the machines that control us from the outside; it'll be the machines that control us from the inside. You know, the nanotechnology. You know, you're talking to a person and they're watching a movie in their retina. You know.
Hello.
How are you, guys?
Good, you okay?
Not bad. 77 pound 3 pence, yeah?
Yes, that's right, yes. Okay. Doesn't work. Oh, there we go.
How do you do it?
Magic.
Huh?
Magic.
Ah, magic.
Recognition payment in China. This is something that will scare a lot of Westerners, but this is a norm in China now. You don't need your card, you don't need to bring your phone, you just need to scan the item you want to buy and the machine will scan your face. Then the money is deducted from your Alipay or WeChat Pay. That is so convenient.
I really can't make this shit up right now, guys. We're right here at Walgreens. Look at it. Wave to speak. Voice assistant coming soon. You come right here, look at that. We believe consumers can experience the benefits of a digital technology without compromising privacy. Sure. Cooler screeners never seeks to identify individuals and never gathers or uses any personal identifiable information. You're right. Therefore, fully preserving your privacy. Yeah, sure. Why is that scanning me right now? Why is this scanning me? Why is it blue? Nothing suspicious out. Not to mention that this is dumb as shit. We're going through an energy crisis and they want to pretend like this is the new normal, right? It's even got microphone, right? Wave to speak, everything. All this shit, you know? And look at it. A locking system. If you don't have whatever they want, they're not going to let you get whatever you need. They're doing it. They're fucking doing it, guys. It's real. The mark is here. It used to be a simple glass, and you could just see through. Now they got this bullshit. Look. What the fuck? And it also doesn't work right.
Great. Looks like you need a good wine pairing. Take a look to your right. Your age has already been pre-verified through your profile, so no need to wait for an ID check. Just place the item in your cart whenever you're ready. I'm getting a notification from your connected smart fridge. It looks like you already have a full gallon of milk at home. Should we put this one back? Hey, good news, your oil change is done. Your vehicle will be ready at the Tire and Lube Express. I've added the service charge to your cart.
Morning. So what's this QR code about?
We're not allowed to share at the moment. You find out.
For coronavirus, COVID pass. Huh? Look, this is what it is. Sainsbury's.
Sorry.
Look at that, Sainsbury's preparing for COVID passes. Disgusting. Disgusting. What is that for?
This is we trying the new technology.
Yeah.
Hi, welcome to Freshie. What can I get for you?
Freshie is an outsourced virtual cashier solution.
One bamboo bowl. Would you like to make that a combo?
It connects your restaurants to professionally trained, experienced virtual cashiers through a fully integrated technology platform.
You can grab a chips and drink behind you. Could I get a name for the order?
Isabel.
How would you like to pay, Isabel?
Debit, please.
You can tap at the pin pad right in front of you. Okay, thank you for your order. Your food will be ready in 5 minutes at the counter right behind you.
Thank you so much.
This is me using my face to get into a convenience store in China, where you can buy food through facial recognition technology. Using your face to buy food is already a reality. Here's one system that KFC and Chinese search engine giant Baidu implemented in China. KFC's system even remembers your face and food preferences so it can better recommend you new products. Much like KFC, this convenience store we visited in the city of Shenzhen has partnered with a tech giant, in this case, the payment app WeChat Pay, to create an experimental face-to-food experience. The store, Zhouheiya, encourages people to play and pay with facial recognition technology. With just your face and a simple thumbs up, the system will deduct money from your linked WeChat account.
Making my mobile payment, my facial recognition juice.
I don't get this.
This may feel very dystopian, but facial recognition has apparently been a welcomed advancement in big cities in China.
Hey, are you the type like me who has trouble keeping track of your car keys? Well, a Michigan man solved that problem by turning himself into a key. CNN's Jeannie Most reports.
Why worry about losing your car keys when you can take matters into your own hands, literally, with a chip implanted in your hand at a tattoo and piercing parlor?
You can't lose your hand, so you'll always have a way of getting in your car.
Brandon Delali had a local anesthetic injected, then the chip inserted. A few days later, his hand hardly sore. He was hovering over the door pillar to open his Tesla. Though he's been mocked, Tesla bros will single-handedly ruin civilization. Brandon says he's no Elon Musk groupie, but rather...
I'm a huge tech nerd. I work in technology.
What he really wants is for the chip to be updated so the implant will work for credit cards. But till that's possible, he'll settle for starting his Tesla by holding his hand over the console.
I'm getting a lot of comments saying, well, what happens if somebody comes after you and chops off your hand?
Brandon already had a chip implanted in his other hand that allows him to unlock the door to his home. It also holds his contact and medical information, such as COVID vaccinations. It glows green, so you know the phone is reading the chip. Can you show me your lump?
It's hard to see, but you can kind of see part of it kind of pop up on the end right there.
Barely a bump, though he's taking his lumps online. But they don't get to say with a wave of the hand.
Open O Sesame! Yes, open O Sesame.
Jeannie Most, CNN, New York.
Y'all talk about minimum wage, how high it's getting and stuff. This
gas station is what's going to happen. Everything here is automated. There's not a soul here working. And I'm going to show you around to show you what I've seen. I've never seen this before, but I'm here with my truck. Just got out. It's just a regular gas pump. You pay at the pump. Now let me take you inside. Like I say, there's no attendants. There's nobody here. As you go in, there's nothing. There's nobody. There's not a window. There's nothing. See, it says pay at the pump only, no cash accepted. There's your coffee, ice. I'm making a video of this. I ain't never seen nothing like this. You talk about minimum wage going up? This is what's going to happen. There's nobody here to pay.
That's right.
Mm-hmm.
This thing is going to be called.
Mm-hmm. All of these machines are automated. And all you do is come over here and you touch the screen. You pick what you want. Like if I wanted a drink. Let's take sodas. Soda. There's all the sodas. You put your money in the machine. And the sodas are down here. They drop down. Now let me show you the bathroom. There's the ladies. There's the men's. Restrooms, purchase required, code on the bottom of receipt. You have to purchase gas outside to get a code. You punch it in right here. It's for the women's. That's for the men's. And there's not a soul here. So they don't have to pay minimum wage. And all they have over here is, they have a microwave, stuff for your coffee, ice, everything. Gas pumps on this side. Gas pumps on the other side. No one to pay.
Funding constraints. Although there are ambitious plans for investment, securing the necessary capital and ensuring that private investments align with public goals can be challenging. Adequate funding remains critical. Market volatility. The energy market's volatility may deter long-term investments in renewables, as companies may hesitate to commit to long-term projects amidst uncertainty. Political challenges. Public support. Achieving climate targets often requires public buy-in for necessary policy changes, such as carbon taxes or reduced fossil fuel use. If the electorate prioritizes affordability or job security, ambitious climate measures may face opposition. Policy uncertainty. Frequent government changes and shifts in policy priorities can create uncertainty, undermining long-term strategies needed for effective climate action. Debates within parties. Internal disagreements, particularly within the Labour Party, over the balance between economic growth and environmental responsibility can also complicate and delay policy implementation. Technological challenges. Infrastructure gaps. Transitioning to renewable energy requires significant upgrades to existing infrastructure, including power grids capable of handling a higher percentage of renewables. This process is often slow and costly. Research and development lag. Technological advancements in storage, carbon capture, and other critical areas are essential for meeting targets but may not be advancing as rapidly as needed. Energy transition complexity. The shift from fossil fuels to renewables involves complex logistics and policy frameworks, and misalignment in these areas can hinder progress. Conclusion. Keir Starmer's government is actively pursuing an ambitious agenda aligned with Agenda 2030, focusing on clean energy and sustainability. However, navigating financial pressures and public expectations remains an ongoing challenge as the government strives to achieve its ambitious climate targets. Fiat Lux, Excitata Lux.
You will own nothing and be happy, they said. Them words still echo in my head from the car that I drive to the phone by my bed. Every product's built to fail instead. Subscriptions was the perfect heist. Turned a one-time cost into a lifelong price. What once was freedom is now a device. 7 grand later, still rolling the dice. We rent the dream, they sell illusion. Digital chains and the cash infusion. From code to car, it's all confusion. Welcome to the 4th revolution. We rent the dream, they sell illusion. Digital chains and the cash infusion. From code to car, it's all confusion. Welcome to the 4th revolution. From heated seats to features locked behind receipts. You don't own land, no tools, no keys. It's a modern serfdom subscription fee. The average brick now spends endlessly. A lifetime leased for dependency. Lux Veritas Codex Dominus. The light of truth breaks through the dust. No real progress, just profit. Lux trust. Man thinks he's free, but he's leasing dust. Lockdown hit, the panic grew. Corporations knew just what to do. They didn't innovate, they secured the flow. Predictable cash was the way to go. Free trials trap you, renewals hide. Cancel buttons buried deep inside. They studied your fear, your pain, your pride, and built a prison from the things you buy. The dream, they sell illusion.